Clint, we are back. Took September off, and what better way to kick it off than bringing in our good friend John Wesley Norton here tonight.
Hello, gentlemen.
How are we doing, John? Good to have you, as always.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Good to be here. I assume we're talking movies?
We are talking movies.
No mistake. All right.
Very astute of you.
It's a good assumption. Good assumption.
Yeah.
You know, I was sitting there thinking, Chad, you know, we always take usually like most of July, August, September, kind of we take off, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of our next season premiere here.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you're right.
This is our opening.
If we were tracking that sort of thing, this would be perfect. That to say this would be like season. I don't even know what season we'd be on right now, but
it'd have to be like 5 or 6, I'd assume.
I'd assume so. Yeah.
How long we've been doing this?
I think.
Yeah, you guys have been doing this a while.
Yeah. It's been a minute.
Yeah. You think?
Well, I tell you what, this is going to be a fun one here, John. We wanted to bring you back and have a rematch, and for those listeners out there that don't recall, we had an episode last season where it was Chad versus John in movie.
Right.
Movie trivia.
The trivia thing. Yeah.
and John completely just trounced Chad.
John got all his. You got all your questions and some of mine that I couldn't get. So I'm back for revenge, though, John.
Let's do it. Bring it
on this. What we're going to do to set this up a little bit, we will go through, and we're going to go through 5 questions a piece. And then we're going to have a little conversation, a little intermission, you know, we might say. And then we'll end up picking it back up for another 5 questions to cap this episode off. So for those of you out there watching and listening, be sure to stick around, comment, like, make sure you subscribe, share this with some friends as well, so we can keep doing this, you know, keep recording these things. The other thing that I would end up throwing out there is, as I deliver one of these questions, if the other one cannot get it, they are all multiple choice. The other one has the option to steal. So we have that.
Was it multiple choice last time?
I don't think so.
I don't believe so. I don't think
it was. Oh, so this might be a piece of cake then.
Yeah, say, I don't even know. Do we need the multiple choice? I'm going to be a little flexing here, Clint, and say that I don't want the multiple choice right away.
Well, unfortunately, these are already set.
Okay.
So, you know, the powers that be handed them down to me and said, this is what I got to deliver.
Okay.
So,
all right. Fair enough.
Now, the thing is, I will give you guys some categories that I'm going to end up asking. So, okay. Chad.
Yes.
Your category for this evening, because you don't have the same categories.
Oh, so
your category for this evening. You only get one category, yes.
Okay, all right.
Your category is 90s horror films.
Okay. I mean,
so reach back into the 90s, and everything's going to be in the 90s.
I'm honestly trying to think what 90s horror films would be, but I'm sure that it's right there.
Yeah, you'll pick them up.
Okay.
And John, your category, unfortunately, is just incredibly obscure horror. That's it. That's all I'm giving you. Okay. I won't lie.
Wow.
I don't know any. I couldn't answer any of these questions or tell you any of the films on this list.
This
so
feels like
I wish you the best of luck.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And just as a reminder here, Chad, I do have a score here.
Ooh. Hey, I already got a point.
Hey, okay. How's John have a point already?
Well, he's
got obscure horror.
No, this is on the rounds here, Chad. So John won last round.
Oh,
so
okay.
You got to get a point going.
Okay, all right. So the entirety of this is for 1 point. Okay, I got you.
Correct. Okay. So without any further ado, Chad, you have been selected to go first.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you the first question.
I can't tell you what kind of pressure there is, because John's got what sounds like a really tough one, and I've got what sounds like a really easy one. And now that just means that there's more pressure on me, because if I do fail, then I'm really going to feel lower in the snake's belly. But all right, continue. I'm up for it. Let's go.
All right, here we go. Number 1. What is the nickname the police give the killer that Hannibal Lecter helps FBI agent Clarice Starling catch in 1990's Silence of the Lambs?
Buffalo Bill.
You didn't even need the
multiple choice.
All right.
I would like to hear the multiple choice though.
Yeah, I would like to too as well. Yeah.
The Manhunter, the Night Stalker, Buffalo Bill, or Skinner.
So those are all based on like Skinner from the X-Files. Yeah. Manhunter was Thomas's first novel, right, with Lecter. What was the other one?
The Night Stalker.
The Night
Stalker. The Night Stalker, the greatest TV show ever, with Darren McGavin, 70s.
What?
TV show.
I didn't know about that. I was talking about the actual killer from Los Angeles.
No, I'm just saying that it's funny they got these answers from yeah. Cool.
Okay. Well, that's 1 point for Chad. So starting off strong here. So here we go, John. First question. The follow-up to Prom Night is considered a sequel, though has nothing to do with the events of the original. A prom queen is set on fire by accident. 30 years later, she comes back as a demon and possesses an innocent teen. This 1987 film, whose beginning takes place in 1957. What is the correct title referred to as? We have the first one, Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2, Don't Go in the House, We're Going to Eat You, Mirror, Mirror 2, Raven Dance.
Dang.
That's a tough one.
Well, no, it's not tough. That's Mary Lou. And that's it's actually, I know what you're saying, because that the whole, it's very Carrie inspired.
Yes.
You know, it's very Carrie inspired.
I've seen the remake, I believe, but I don't think I've actually seen the original. That was when was the original?
Prom Night.
No, I meant when was the original Prom Night? Like they did a remake in like the early 2000s, I think, and I remember watching that one.
It had to have been like 83 or something. It was 83.
Something tells me that the remake might even be 3D. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that, but I do know that this is all of these movies. The slasher thing through the 80s was, you can't even count how many slasher movies came out in the 80s.
Yeah,
you know, that's where all the money was being made. You know, and the Prom Night actually. Yeah, for the time, it's pretty popular, I think. I don't know about Prom Night 2, but
Electric
the
Boogaloo.
first one was pretty popular.
Breaking 2, Prom Night 2, Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo.
You know, Chad, I did start to watch that, by the way. I didn't get into it too much, but I actually thought it paired up really well. They had breakdancing in the Olympics, so we should have watched it.
Oh, yeah, we should have. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys got to watch that, man.
Yeah, it's on my list.
All right. Question number 2 for Chad. What is the name of the movie about the Woodsboro murders in 1997 Scream 2? What is the name of the movie about the Woodsboro's murders in 1997's Scream 2? It is Stab. That is correct.
Yeah.
Man, we had Slasher, Shriek, and the Woodsboro horror on there. So
yeah.
All right. 2 for 2 here. All right, John, here we go. Some more obscure films here. Clive Barker is known to disown this adaptation of a comic book. This involves a creature that's unearthed. He terrorizes an Irish countryside, then feeds on his victims. What film is this? Hellraiser 2, Bloodline, Rawhead Rex, Ghoulies, The Immortalizer.
John's going to know this one.
Yeah, it is Rawhead Rex.
Is it really Rawhead Rex? That's what it is?
Yeah. And Rawhead Rex is, I think, is a pretty good movie.
John.
I actually think it's a pretty good movie.
You have no business not knowing the answer to that question. What?
It's cool. It's just different. It's just
Rawhead Rex.
Rawhead Rex is pretty cool.
Man.
I gotta say, that one's a lot of fun. I didn't know that Clive Barker disowned it. You know, because I thought it was. I'd never read the comic book though, so I don't know that.
The name Clive Barker. The name Clive Barker sounds really familiar, but I can't place who that is. Why do I know that name so well?
Well, you probably know him most for the Hellraiser.
Okay, all right.
Series.
Okay, so he did do the Hellraisers.
He's an author, right?
Okay.
Yeah, there's a bunch of his stuff that's been adapted, but I think Hellraiser is the most famous.
All right, I would have put money on Ghoulies, which is one of the most underrated horror movies of the 80s. I loved Ghoulies when I was a kid. Right up there with Critters.
I know, but it's wrong. What do you mean Ghoulies?
Oh, I know the answer's wrong. But I meant
you just like that one?
I love that movie, yeah. I'm just glad that it made the cut for at least bringing it up as a multiple choice.
I've never seen Ghoulies.
Oh, you're kidding me. John, you'd love it.
No,
John, you'd love it. It's so campy and fun.
Yeah.
And it's ultimate 80s horror.
I do like that stuff.
Yeah.
I do like that stuff, yeah.
All right. Question number 3, Chad.
Yes.
Which actress is not in the Scream trilogy? Jenny McCarthy, Drew Barrymore, Jennifer Love Hewitt, or Sarah Michelle Gellar?
It's either Jennifer Love Hewitt or Sarah Michelle Gellar, because I remember Jenny McCarthy was one of the opening ones, and so was Drew Barrymore was the original opening one. So Sarah Michelle Gellar, and who was the other one? Jennifer Love Hewitt?
Yep.
Well, if I miss this one, John's gonna get it because it's it's a 50-50 shot here. Not that you don't know it already, but I was trying to think. I would think that I would recognize Sarah Michelle Gellar because I kind of, saw it was Sarah Michelle Gellar was. I mean, come on, she was in Cruel Intentions, and God, I love that movie. I just have a feeling that she was one of the opening women in one of these Scream movies. So I'm going to go Jennifer Love Hewitt. C.
Final answer?
Yes.
That is correct.
Okay, all right.
I believe Sarah Michelle Gellar, if I'm not totally mistaken, I'd have to go back and look, but I think Scream 3 maybe.
Okay.
She was in.
Okay.
So, all right. 3 for 3 here, Chad. Starting out strong.
Hewitt was I Know What You Did Last Summer. That was her franchise.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
That
Even though Sarah Michelle Gellar was in it, but that was her franchise.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right. John, here we go. I'm going to struggle with this name, but I think I can get it here. So question number 3, Dario Argento does a remake of this classic horror tale. This time, the central character is raised by rats and plays the organ. Which classic movie does he put his own twist on? Dracula, Hellraiser, The Exorcist, or Phantom of the Opera?
You did pronounce it correctly. That is correct.
Oh, that's a win. That's a point for me right there.
Right. I'm pretty sure it's Phantom of the Opera. The other ones, those aren't correct. I'm pretty sure it's Phantom of the Opera.
Got to be right.
You are correct.
Yeah.
Phantom of the Opera.
Julian Sands, I think.
I don't know if I've seen any movie on these lists at all.
The ones that John's getting, you mean?
Yeah, I don't know if I don't even know if I've even ever watched Hellraiser. I don't think I ever have.
Oh yeah.
So
Dario Argento's made
scary movies.
He's an Italian filmmaker, and he's done some really gruesome stuff. He's known for some very expressionistic and kind of experimental cinematography. His stuff is great to look at, but it's on the disturbing side.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you started talking about rats, I immediately went to Wilfred. Is it Wilfred, right? Isn't that
Willard?
Willard. There it is. Willard. All right. I was close. With Big Ben.
Yep.
Yeah. Classic movies.
Mm-hmm.
So far, what's been everybody's favorite movie if you had to pick out of all these? What's everybody going to go with?
Well, I do think that, that we've talked a little bit about Scream, and I think Scream is probably one of the most iconic. I know it's kind of cliche because it's got a lot of comedy in it, and it's but as far as like something that just really revolutionized the slasher films, I think that one really brought in a whole new generation of films and stuff. We were watching Totally Killer last night, and it's like this is an absolute remake of Scream with time travel, basically is what it is. So I think that Scream is probably my favorite, and I haven't given it as much respect as I should have when it was going on.
I think I'd have to agree. I mean, Scream's a very clever movie. It's commentary on '80s horror movies, you know,
Yes.
and I like it. It's not like one of my favorite movies or anything, but it's the things we've talked about so far. I think that's probably the better of the films.
Are they one of the first ones or the first ones that did like the stovetop stovetop popcorn? Because that's what I always think of when I think of Scream.
Yeah, Drew Barrymore making popcorn.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like I don't know why, but it's like
I never thought about that. I do remember I do remember that though. Stovetop popcorn. Yeah, I remember that well.
I think that's one of the biggest bait and switch movies I've ever seen. With Scream starting off with Drew Barrymore as the first person there, and she's popping that popcorn. You think she's gonna be the star of the show, and then all of a sudden, she doesn't make it out of the first scene. You know, that's incredible. And then they continue that with all the other gals that we talked about earlier.
I mean, I'd put that bait and switch up there with like, you know, Executive Decision.
Executive Decision is another great bait and switch. I forgot about that movie.
Yeah, that just traumatized me when I watched that the first time. So, you know,
yeah. Steven Seagal. You thought you were in the long haul with Steven Seagal, but no. This is a Kurt Russell movie.
I don't know why that movie pops up so much in my podcast. We must have talked about Executive Decision half a dozen times. For some reason, it just keeps popping up. It's a great movie. You know, it's a great movie. So maybe that's why. I don't know.
Anybody that hasn't watched Executive Decision, watch Executive Decision because it is a great movie. I mean, maybe
it's worth it.
I don't know if it stands the test of time. I don't know if I went back and watched it today, if I'd love it as much as I did then. But back then, it was like, this movie's awesome. You know?
Yeah. Incredible. No, I watched it last year for my Steven Seagal episode.
Okay.
On my my podcast, and it holds up.
Is that the one? I may be getting this mixed up, but is that the one where the guy's chewing on the straw at the end, and that's how they deactivate the bomb? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It is.
Well, that's stupid, but you know,
I just remember that like that thing goes to clamp down right when he shoves that straw in there. You know. All right, Chad. Yeah. Question number 4. In order for his plan to work, John Doe, Kevin Spacey, had to be killed for having committed what deadly sin in 1995's Seven? Lust, wrath, envy, or vanity?
Envy.
That is correct.
I Want to Be You. What a great movie. I'm glad you brought that one up, though. I didn't know where you were going with I can't remember who you just mentioned. Kevin Spacey. I didn't know where you're going, but then once you got there, it's like, oh yeah. I love that. I love Seven. Who directed that, John? You're gonna know it right off the top of your head. It is
David Fincher.
David Fincher. Yes. My goodness, what a great film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
All right, John, you ready for your question number 4?
Sure. Let's do it.
A lesser-known slasher film from the 80s gives a Melrose Place photographer one of her first starring roles. She plays a teen who is initiated into a demonic fraternity that wants her blood. She attempts to fight this evil cult and survive. What movie is this? Madman, The Dorm That Dripped Blood, The Initiation, The Burning.
I have zero clue.
It sounds like The Dorm That Dripped Blood, but I don't think that's it. I think the Melrose person is that Daphne Zaninga or whatever her name is. Could you read them off again?
Madman, The Dorm That Dripped Blood.
That's not it.
The Initiation, The Burning.
I don't think it's The Burning either. The Initiation.
That is correct.
All right.
Man, it's just a neck and neck here.
It is. Like I said,
neck.
All it takes is for me to choke once, and John's going to have me.
Well, I mean, you're on a roll here, so I'm impressed with your 90s 90s film knowledge here so far. So we're going to go into number 5.
Let me just say real quick, I had a thing for Daphne Zaninga or whatever her name is.
I don't know who she is. I can't.
She was in Say Anything with John. What's his name? Cusack.
Yeah, John Cusack.
Remember Say Anything?
Oh yeah, I remember
Say Anything. The boombox over his head and all that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I don't remember her. I remember John Cusack. I don't remember.
Yeah, she was the girl, and
okay.
I don't know. There's something about her. She was different than a lot of the other. She wasn't blonde, for that's one thing.
She's a brunette, right?
She's a brunette, you know, and it was just some kind of wholesome quality about her. I don't know. I just liked her.
I love John Cusack. Let's throw that out there because everything he's in is Grosse Point Blank is one of my all-time favorite. Like, just sit back and casually watch films. That is so clever and so great. The way he talks to Jeremy Piven, where he's I joined the military. I became a contract killer, and now that's what I do for a living, or whatever. That monologue there. It's like, that's awesome. That is just cool. And he's like, all right, cool. And he tells everybody that. And also, is it Minnie Driver that's the love interest in there? I think it's Minnie Driver.
Minnie Driver?
I think you're right. I just watched this movie last year.
You're right.
I want more Minnie Driver. I love her. I absolutely adore her. The one Good Will Hunting. Her role in there is perfect. Perfect.
She's really good in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cusack chooses good stuff.
Yes.
He's done a lot of really good stuff.
He has.
Yeah.
I like him. I'm just not a big fan of his sister.
Yeah, you've said that before. You hate his sister.
Yeah.
Joan?
She kind of, I don't know. She just pings my ears the wrong way.
Well, I think that's a good way to put it, is because the way she talks, I could see it being a little offensive, kind of like the way I find Kyler Murray offensive, the way he talks and the way he looks and the way he runs and everything. So I could see.
To be fair, I'm sorry. To be fair, women have they're more likely to be typecast into certain roles, and she just has the wacky girlfriend, or it's the lead's best friend.
She does have that.
And that's what they cast her in. At least guys have a more range that they get cast. But a lot of the actresses, once they play and do a good job in one particular type of role, that's it.
Yeah. I don't know of any movies that I've ever seen her as the leading role. I don't know if I've seen many movies where it wasn't John Cusack starring and him bringing her along. And that's, unfortunate.
She does play a very similar role every time, and she does do a great job at it.
Yes.
So I guess just to throw that out there.
She's got comedy chops for sure.
All right. Number 5 here, John. This crazy Hong Kong cannibal film from the 80s. A group of tourists on an expedition in the wilderness falls prey to a group of radical man-eaters. It's a spoof, but it delivers heavily on the gut-munching sequences. What is the title of this spoof? Zombie, Dr. Butcher, MD, Evil Dead Trap, We're Going to Eat You.
I thought you were going one way and then you went another.
And is it a foreign film? Or
it says this crazy Hong Kong cannibal film from the 80s.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's We're Going to Eat You.
That is correct.
Is that right?
That is.
What's a spoof off of, John, though? Like, I feel like...
I think it's a spoof of a certain genre.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's a spoof anything particular.
Well,
it's just that it's a gory. It spoofs the gory stuff. You know how like Peter Jackson was doing that for a while with some of that early stuff he was doing.
Peter Jackson
way over the top. Oh yeah, Peter Jackson. Bad Taste, Dead Alive. Those are early Peter Jackson stuff. That's really really good, but so over the top. It's pretty crazy.
See, I remember I've heard tell of a film that was outlawed for a while because they had to prove that the actors were really alive. I don't remember what it was, but that was a cannibalism one too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was called Cannibal Holocaust.
That's it. Yes, exactly. That's what I figured. When Clint was going down this road, I'm like, I want to pause because I bet John doesn't need the multiple choice, and I knew you were going to come up with that one, but that wasn't it.
And that you're right though. They did have the producer had to prove that the actors were still alive. He was held in custody for a while.
That's
oh
my. But the movie it's pretty disturbing. You know that the people are alive, but they do actually kill animals in it.
Oh yeah.
So that's another thing that turned people off from that movie. I don't think I would watch it.
Yeah,
I watched it.
Yeah, it was one of those things that like it's been on my list, but also I just don't know if I need to see something like that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Well, it's not great. It's not a great movie.
Yeah. But it's one. But like the backstory to it makes it a little bit more alluring. Like, oh, it was outlawed.
Oh yeah.
It's like now I gotta know what that's all about.
When they were able to put banned by so many countries,
Yes.
that was they were probably shaking their fist like, yes,
Yeah, ban us everywhere.
know?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Is that a genre in itself, like cannibalism? Like, is that like
body
It's
horror?
probably a subgenre. It's a subgenre. Yeah.
Okay.
Not big. Like Eli Roth did one. What was that called? The Green. What was that called? He did it about 10 years ago. It was a cannibal movie. I think the Green Inferno. Green Inferno.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, basically same thing. Bunch of people go into the jungle where they don't belong, and get chopped up and eaten. Well,
Yeah. This isn't this isn't a cannibal movie necessarily, but it kind of reminds me of Apocalypto. Have you've seen that one for sure, right? That one is one of the best. Like, have you seen this one, Clint?
Yeah, that's the one. Serpentine Run, right? So you don't get.
Yes, exactly. Exactly right. You zig when you should, or you ran straight. It's like run back and forth. Yeah, that movie was incredibly disturbing, but I also feel like it was a better film. Like, it's just a really good film in general.
It is really good.
Yeah,
really good. It's a very early digital film. It's one of the first major productions. It was digital. Yeah.
Is that Mel Gibson directed?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. If you watch it today, you can kind of see that it's a little digital. The same as like who were some other was Collateral. Michael Mann did Collateral.
Oh, Collateral.
Really early digital film when they were just moving to digital. And the other two that stand out is Attack of the Clones, digital. And Rodriguez did Once Upon a Time in New Mexico. Like, those 4 films were like really early adopters of digital technology, and some of them hold up better than others, but they're all,
well, everyone
cinema moves forward.
Yeah. Everyone that you mentioned right there are pretty solid entries. So I think
they're good.
Collateral's one that I need to revisit just because I love that movie. I haven't seen it in forever. So
it's a great movie, and it's got a look that actually the digital actually kind of helps it. It's got this weird metallic feel, it's very silver and blue, and it works well for that movie.
It's Tom Cruise's hair.
Yeah, it's a good movie for sure.
Yeah, I tell you what, like, Tom Cruise is one of those guys that I can't fangirl enough about him, because anything that he's in, it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch it. Even like the Mummy that he was in, it's like, yeah, this is gonna be terrible, but I'm gonna watch it because it's Tom Cruise and he's gonna put on an awesome show. How do you feel about Tom Cruise,
actor.
John? Okay,
he's a great actor. I mean, we talked about this, I think, on my show when you guys were my guests. We were talking about Denzel versus Tom Cruise or something. I think he brought up Tom Cruise. I mean, the thing about Tom Cruise is he gets his pick of the best scripts.
That's true.
He's one of those guys. He's like Tom Hanks, Denzel, DiCaprio. They get the pick of the best scripts floating around. So they get their first, and then if they pass, then it kind of goes down the line to the other actors on the next tier. But he's been producing for a long time. Then the Mission Impossible films he produces as well, and I like those movies a lot. The Mission Impossible, those are really solid movies. I think.
I just watched the latest one, which I didn't realize it was going to be I didn't know it was a half, like a part one, one aspect there, but absolutely incredible. Great movie. Yeah. It still holds up. I mean, like, they've kept that franchise going, where they're all high quality films, right?
Yeah.
The one thing that I'd say about Tom Cruise that I think that, I don't know, the more I have I guess learned about him on how he acts on set and things of that nature, he just seems like he always takes care of everybody that he's working with. Like, he seems like he just has a passion that he cares about everybody on that set. At least that's how it seems like it feels like, which just is awesome to me.
He's got a good reputation.
Yeah, we definitely talked about this on your show, because now I remember that conversation where we talked about him on set and stuff. So
yeah.
So John, before we talk about your movie, and I know I just want to know what when you, because I know you're a big horror fan. what are your favorite your favorite genres of horror? What do you is there anything particular you seek out?
I do have a soft spot for the 80s slasher.
Yeah, I figured it was about that. Yeah.
Not that they're great, but I appreciate like the independent I don't know, the independent just making it happen, you know? And I mean like the early stuff, the like the low budget stuff.
Give me an example. So throw something out there.
Evil Dead.
Oh yeah,
Evil Dead.
Of course, Evil Dead.
You
Yeah,
know?
for sure.
It's super low budget, but look what they were able to do. You know, the first couple Friday 13ths, you know, were like that. They didn't really start having money till maybe like number 4. You know, but yeah, those are solid franchises. You know, I like those. But I gotta say, I'm really getting into the found footage thing. You know, I just
love it
because it's newer and these are a lot of independent people who are just running out and shooting movies. You know, and some of them are really good, some of them are crap. But that's that's the same with big budget movies.
Yep.
You know,
on the found film side, is it easier to shoot a movie in a found film style, like where you're not worrying about like cameras on gimbals and things, because it seems like it's all just handheld stuff? But I'm sure like there's got to be something else to that, right?
Yeah, I think the trick with a found footage movie is the concept. The concept has to be solid, right? The actual production, yeah, it's not as complicated. As a matter of fact, you want it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
You know, because that works in its favor. You know, there's nothing complicated about Paranormal Activity. You know, and that was extremely effective. And the stripped down nature of it and the immediacy of it, of the camera being the point of view of the character, you know, it is different. It's got a different feel, and I like it. You know, I like it.
Yeah, I echo that, John. I absolutely love it. I think that we're getting to a point where it's almost making these films easier to make because there's more access to cameras, and you always have like you can do this more often. You can switch from one camera to another. Like I think in Paranormal Activity 2 or 3 or whatever it was, where they're just like going back and around the house, and they've got the I think it's like a Connect for Xbox 360 setup, so you can see the views.
I think it's 2, but yeah,
I thought it was.
Yeah,
and so like there's more technology to go with. Whereas one of the complicated things I saw were like VHS and and Blair Witch Project. You have to like constantly be making up an excuse as to why you're keeping the camera on, and usually it's like there's a light on it. You know what I mean? But I feel like very seldom do they really miss, in my opinion. Like I mean, like even I think what's the one that about the okay.
It's the acting. I mean, it's all about the acting. If the actors aren't there, it's not going to work.
Oh yeah, and that's probably.
I mean, that's
that's probably a much bigger thing because they really have to carry it there because you don't have the.
It makes or break the show. It's the show,
yeah, exactly.
I watched an interesting film about 6 months ago called Unfriended. That is kind of another.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do. Yeah.
It's found footage, but in a different way. It's all webcam on a computer, you know? And I watched it because I was toying with the idea of doing a film like that myself. And then I watched that and I said, well, what I was wanting to do has already been done because it was very similar to the idea that I had. But people are just getting really creative.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, all this digital technology is making things really like VHS. I thought that was pretty cool when it first came out.
Yep.
You know, and I think they're effective. I like the VHS franchise.
I do too.
You know?
Has anyone done a film that uses only Nest cams and like around the house security cameras?
Well, yeah, Paranormal Activity 2 would have been.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are. You know, I mean, everybody's using all of this new technology to make narrative films, and so you got a lot of different stuff coming out. It's really cool. It's just a new creative kind of frontier with all this new technology. You know, and I'm all for it.
I could see like a fun play on that because you would have blind spots, right? That you could always have like creepy things happening. So
I'll tell you one of my favorites is who directed that. It's called The Bay, and it's kind of a higher budget found footage movie. I've seen it like half a dozen times. It's really good. What is that director? Barry Levinson. Barry Levinson, who has been kicking around Hollywood for a long time, and he did a movie called The Bay about some mutated, some kind of mutated little animals in the bay. It's complicated, but it's good.
Yeah.
It's really, I would recommend The Bay a lot. I've seen it many times. It's a great movie.
Couple movies that come to mind, like using this technology and stuff. One of them is horror, and it's The Host. Have you seen that one? Not the foreign film, but the one where it's just literally a Zoom call, and it was made.
Yeah, I've only seen the trailer. I haven't seen the movie.
It is super good. It's literally like they do a seance during COVID time, so they're all like isolated and release something. Yeah, it was super cool. Like really, and it's a pretty easy watch. I mean, I think it's like, hour and 20 minutes, something like that. So it's pretty light. And the other one is Missing. I think it's called Missing, and it's not.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either.
It's not using just Zoom, but it's using Zoom, and like she's using her phone or her computer to text message, and using her cell phones and things like that. And she's bringing in all these different. She's FaceTiming people and things like that, and just like trying to find out what happened to her mom, I think, or something like that, and unlocking all these. It is, and it's like one twist after another, and it's all this girl sitting in her room trying to track down her mom who went on vacation in some foreign country and stuff. It's super clever, super well done, and it's wild how they just keep pulling you into the story and keep it moving along by using different forms of technology. Love it.
Yeah, I'm all about it.
Yeah,
I think it's great.
Chad, what is your favorite horror genre?
So I'm glad you asked, because I want to say that my favorite is probably vampire movies. I am a sucker for a good vampire movie, but I also think that it's one of the slimmest versions out there, because there's a lot of bad ones, and I don't think there's not a ton of good vampire movies, I guess is what I'm saying. And I really love that, like, that specific genre. I always want, as a kid, that's like, if you're going to dress up for Halloween, you want to be a vampire because they're the coolest. You know what I mean? They're suave, they're super human, but also they're just cool, but they just don't seem to be doing a very good job
on that
anymore.
Side of it. Like, your favorite ones are when they pair up or team up with werewolves.
Yeah. Actually, Underworld. I loved Underworld. So that franchise, I think, was pretty solid. I know that it kind of went off the rails, but that was a good werewolf versus vampire one. Fantastic. Had a great time.
Yeah, those are fun.
Even like Van Helsing.
What I was thinking, but okay.
Yeah, I know what you were thinking. But no, I love those. I love those type of vampire movies, like I don't know, where they can be, they can glamour you, they can be the cool, like,
right.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something cool about that.
Well, there's a couple movies. One is this new Salem's Lot that just came out on Max, which I have not seen.
I have not seen it either. I've heard mixed reviews.
I've heard mixed reviews, but the one I'm really excited about is Robert Eggers is doing a remake of Nosferatu.
Yes, I've seen that, or I've seen that advertised.
And that looks, and he's a good filmmaker. Robert Eggers is a good filmmaker. What's he done? The Witch, The Lighthouse, The Northman.
Yeah.
And then this one where the guy that played Pennywise.
Yes.
Is Nosferatu, I think.
Yeah.
But I love Nosferatu as a movie. Like, even though it's made in like 1922, I still think it's a great movie.
Yeah. I've got all day tomorrow, and I'm finally going to watch it. I bought that movie, but I've never watched it because I feel like it's one of the movies that I have to be in the right mood for, because it's from 1920, But tomorrow I've got all day, and that's what I'm planning on doing.
Cool.
Here is mine. You guys know, it's no secret that I'm not a horror film fan just in general. Probably because, I don't know, I'm a scaredy cat when it comes to horror films. But I would say my favorite for sure in this genre would be zombies. Zombie movies would be my top go-to. 28 days later, 28 weeks later. You can even throw like What's Zack Snyder's one that he just did that I actually kind of enjoyed?
The Vegas one.
Yeah, the Vegas one, right? Like I can have fun with
City
those
of the
movies
Dead or something like that. I forget.
Yeah, and I know like they can get terrible reviews, and I can still like thoroughly enjoy them. I remember what was the one like where was it Warm Blooded or something like that, where it was kind of like a fun little play, like where the zombies were still somewhat alive, right? Or Zombie Land is another one that I absolutely love.
Well, Zombie Land is the ultimate level there. But no, I can see his face. He played Beast in X-Men First Class. HOU name. I can't think of his name though. But yeah, it's something like that. Warm Bodies.
Yeah. Like I like any play on zombies, and then of course, like if you go to like Shaun of the Dead, right? That's another fun one that I liked. And then what's the one where they're in the mall? Why am I struggling? Is that not?
Yeah, Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead. Yeah. That was like you know, Dead Rising. The video game was based on that. One of my favorite video games. So
yeah. I like zombie movies a lot.
Well, let's hear about your zombie movie, John, because that brings us right into your latest project.
Yeah, it starts a week from today, actually. I'm right in the middle of doing what am I doing now? I'm finalizing wardrobe for everyone. I hired my effects artist. It's a pretty cool film. It's designed to be, well, it's one of those movies where everybody's trapped in a barn, like a big expansive barn, and but the cool thing about it is that they're trying to, there's lab workers in it who escaped. The thing starts with a gas leak at this government facility, and some people escape, and then it's these 3 people who escape the lab trying to figure out how it could happen, and there's like a little mystery thing within it, and I don't have the budget or the time to do some gigantic zombie film, right? So I had to scale it down to the resources that I had, but I'm getting really good feedback on the script. Everybody's real excited about it. So yeah, I figure every filmmaker should try their hand at zombies at least once.
I'm surprised that you haven't done a zombie movie yet, John, because again, I feel like that's kind of a sweet spot for you too. So
I've had zombies in some films, but I've never made a zombie movie. So
yes.
So in your opinion, when you're putting this together, what is the hardest things? Because it always seems like zombies are very challenging, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's you have to have a horde of people, or whether it's the makeup, or trying to make these people look like this. But what do you see as the hardest challenge when trying to shoot a zombie movie?
Well, for one thing, trying to come up with a story that hasn't been told yet. I mean, that's the hardest part, and then the effects makeup. I mean, that's time consuming.
Yeah.
And I think we've only got 8 days to shoot this thing. So I would say the effects work takes a while. It takes a while to get that stuff right. So I tried to scale back on that as much as possible. So there's no like zombie hordes. There's only like maybe 7 or 8 zombies in the whole thing, But I think I've come up with something that is different, because I wouldn't make it if it was just some copycat zombie movie.
Yeah.
I'm just not. I'm not interested in that, But I have a twist on it that I think that that I can get excited about.
So do you have?
So I think it's the story.
Do you have an effects team, a makeup team that does this, or how does the makeup work? Because that's got to be you mentioned that. That's probably
I know a lot of effects artists.
Time-consuming part, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's
okay. So a lot of effects.
I've scaled down the actual gore to just a few key moments, because if the audience just has a few key moments of something that's repulsive, that carries a lot of weight through the entire film. I don't need a bunch of effects through the whole film as long as I can get those few right. So
yeah,
I'm pretty excited to get started on it. Yeah.
And did you write this all yourself?
I wrote it like 12 years ago. I wrote it in the zombie craze of the 2000 teens, when everybody was doing zombie films, the absolute height of the zombie thing, so every independent filmmaker was making zombie movies. So I wrote one, and I've been sitting on it all this time, and I decided to, might as well just make it. So I'm going to make it.
All right. My big question on the zombies: how fast are your zombies?
It's interesting you should say that because I have both.
Okay, you got runners.
When someone's initially infected, they're crazy zombies, right?
Yes.
Then you kill them, then they come back as slow zombies.
Okay, so you have rules to your zombies. I love it. I love
yes,
it.
I have both.
Yes. Okay, I wondered because that's a big decision right there, really.
Well, and that sounds realistic, right? If you get infected, you still have, adrenaline and things of that nature that would be running through. So, like, you would be faster, stronger, right? So, I like that.
Yeah. So that's one of my twists on it, So we'll see. It should be a good time.
Yeah, I apologize if we just gave away a spoiler for at one point where there is a zombie that gets shot. You think he's dead, and then he comes back.
It's okay.
Like,
I don't know if your audience is that big
to
like blow the whole thing.
Yeah.
Or mine. I can say no, my audience isn't big either.
Yeah.
So I've got no problem. It's fine.
Well,
some filmmakers like really are like precious about their stuff like that, and I mean, come on. I mean, the audience that you're trying to reach has never heard of you or your work.
Yeah.
You just are trying to keep it secret from your friends and neighbors. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, John, I was just going to throw out there that, if you ever make a sequel and you give us a little heads up, I know 2 guys that would just be awesome zombies. So, free of charge, just roaming around, bumping into things. So.
Into things. I leave it open for a sequel.
There you go. There you go. Perfect. Yeah. So when can we expect this? When can we expect to see this, John?
Well, I shot another film in September called Night Calls, which was kind of a 90s style thriller.
Yeah.
And then I have this film. So I'll be editing through the winter on these films. And I think I'm also doing another improv film this winter. So it usually takes about a year.
Okay. Another thing.
Next Halloween.
Yeah. That's perfect. And your 550, how's that going? Are you still on track with that and everything?
Well, this is part of it.
Okay,
obviously.
Yep.
And
can you talk about that a little bit, just for the listeners that don't have any?
Yeah, the 550 project is something I started. I started putting it together last January, and I kind of officially set the start date of July 4th. So I gave myself 5 years to make 50 movies, which sounds impossible, right?
It did when you said that, but
it may be. But I've already got 5 or 6,
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just that I have to be in production all the time.
Yep.
For 5 years straight. That's all it means. But that's okay. I got nothing else going on.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't mind. And I couldn't do it if I didn't have a large team to draw from. A lot of people. I've been doing this a long time. So I'm calling in all the favors.
Do you want to shout out your Patreon and how we can get involved with that as well?
I think my Patreon is 5/50 films. Yeah. .patreon or whatever it is, or Patreon 5/50 films, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's what I'm doing with the Patreon is that for every movie I put out, the Patreon subscribers, all the paid members get a version of the film, like a special edition version.
Yep.
Okay, that's just for them, and those have like the commentary. I do commentary on all the films.
Nice.
And so that's just a little thank you. And all the money goes toward these movies, so a lot of actors, I'm sure, are throwing money in there in hopes of being cast, and I will cast them. I have no problem finding roles for people who want to support me.
Yeah.
I'll support them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you go and get actors, are they volunteers? Do you have to pay for actors? Like, what?
Yeah,
what do
you should try to pay your actors. You should try to pay everybody. You should try to pay everybody.
Yeah.
I'm not doing union films right now, so I have a lot more flexibility of what the pay rates are. I haven't done a union film in probably 2 or 3 years, and I don't plan on going back to it anytime soon. You know, the draconian rules they dropped on everybody during the COVID period. I just stopped. I mean, there was just, they really, some of those rules, I just didn't want to, I didn't want to deal with them.
Yeah.
They were just trying to, I don't know. It almost like they were keeping you from making your film.
Yeah.
Is what it felt like, But I made For Hannah right in the middle of that. And we decided not to go union on that one, or did we? Maybe that one was union. That one was union. Never mind. No, it wasn't. It wasn't because here's why it wasn't. Because one of the things they wanted me to do was outline every scene in an overhead and then put where everybody would be standing, like crew and actors for every scene, so they could make sure that they were 6 feet apart. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. How can you do that?
Yeah.
So I didn't do that. But the other rules were just, we just didn't want to deal with it. And that's I don't want to make this a big conversation about the way the unions are for independent people, but sometimes they can be a bit of a roadblock.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah,
especially for independent filmmakers, like that's got to be tough.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Well, with that, I think we need to transition back and wrap up our last 5 questions.
Are we tied 5-5?
It is. It's 5-5, and this is impressive. So we're gonna kick this off again. So, Chad.
All right.
Number 6. Which 1990s movie is not about aliens seeking to kill humans?
Okay.
Independence Day, The X-Files, Spawn, or Species?
Spawn. Spawn isn't an alien movie. Spawn is that Jamie Foxx? I know it's John Leguizamo as the Violator. But yeah, Spawn is not a alien movie.
No, he was raised up from the depths of hell, right? And,
yeah, Todd McFarlane. Back in the
Todd McFarlane.
Image, when Image was first created. Everybody should have a Spawn 1 in their collection.
I do not have one yet. I should, because they're like widely available.
They are. Yeah, exactly. You can get a
9.8 pretty easy.
Yep, signed by Todd McFarlane for $120.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, every 90s collection needs those, and they need the X-Men 1 covers. So anyway, sorry.
Chad, maybe I'm thinking back, maybe I just made yours too easy. Maybe I just totally skewed the wrong direction here.
Yeah, I think you underestimated me here a little bit. So,
well, I mean, after that first performance, I only had 1 data point to go from. So,
yeah,
the trend line was not good for you.
On that subject, though, that last multiple choice, Species was a wildly underrated 90s film too. I loved that one. That was the one where it was the woman predator alien type of thing. Yeah. So loved that film.
I think young men liked it because of all the boobage. I mean, it was front and center.
Yeah.
In that movie.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Touche.
All right. John, number 6. Robert Englund is always known as the evil supernatural villain. This film, which falsely advertises itself as a slasher, gives him an early role in his younger days. This is more backwoods than In the House. Instead of supernatural elements, there is an abduction. What film depicts him in an unusual light? Slashed Dreams, Evil Christmas, Eaten Alive, Dance Macabre.
It's got to be the first one because I know what the other 3 are. However, if I'm not mistaken, there's more than one title for this movie. I think that Slash Dreams was a release, but I think the original title for this was called Sunburst, and I'm pretty sure.
What were the multiple choice again? I mean, like, I'm sure John's right here, but I've never heard.
He was.
Okay.
Yeah. Slashed Dreams, Christmas Evil, Eaten Alive, Dance Macabre.
Okay.
Yeah. Dance Macabre is a Stephen King book that's pretty good.
It is.
You know, it's a nonfiction book about horror in general.
Okay.
It's an early book.
Okay.
Dance Macabre is an early book.
All right.
Eaten Alive, I thought was about alligators, but I could be wrong about that.
Chad, did we just find a Stephen King book that you're not aware of?
Well, he also said nonfiction, so I'm assuming it's about the art of writing, something like that or whatever. So
no, it's a commentary about horror in general.
Okay.
Movies, books. It's a pretty good book. It came out like right before The Stand. It was in that era.
And see, The Stand
it was an early book.
The Stand is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
You said something about alligator movies. Here's another little tidbit. Crawl is the best alligator movie that I've ever seen. It is fantastic. Is it good? It is so good, John. Especially like right now when we're talking about these hurricanes and stuff like that. It's very relevant with. Yeah. Crawl was really, really, really good. Really, really good.
Yeah, alligator movies are kind of a little subgenre movie.
Yep.
Subgenre into themselves. You know, there's quite a few little gems in that. Yeah, the alligator movies.
Yeah, would Lake Placid be in that one?
Yeah, that was
Lake Placid. Yeah.
Oliver Platt and Brendan Gleeson, and
the world's largest crocodile or alligator. I don't know, whichever one they chose.
And the original Alligator. I think John Sayles directed it. That's a good movie. You know,
I've heard
a really good movie.
I've heard of that one. I've never seen it, but yeah. Betty White was in Lake Placid too.
Yep, Betty White was in that. Yep.
All right, Chad. Number 7. Who was very effective as a serial killer? Daryl Lee Cullum in 1995's Copycat. Jacob Dylan, David Arquette, Woody Harrelson, or Harry Connick Jr.?
Man, you just talked me up, and now I have no clue about Copycat. So give me one more time.
Jacob Dylan, David Arquette, Woody Harrelson, Harry Connick Jr.
But give me the question again.
Who was very effective as serial killer Daryl Lee Cullum in 1995's Copycat?
Okay, one more time on the names.
Jacob Dylan, David Arquette, Woody Harrelson, Harry Connick Jr.
I just feel like if it was Woody Harrelson, I'd know it. I'm kind of a fangirl for Woody Harrelson. Harry Connick Jr., I probably wouldn't know it because I can't stand him. I just don't like the way he talks. I really want to say David Arquette here, and that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but he was big in the 90s. I don't know who Jacob Dylan is. I'm going to go David Arquette.
Final answer?
Final answer.
You are incorrect.
Oh, missed it. John.
So we can now.
John knows that they're too. I can feel it.
To John Wesley Norton, who we knows it's not David Arquette. So you're down to 33% here.
Yeah, you know
Jacob
what?
Dylan, David Arquette, or Harry Connick Jr.
It would be a complete guess on my part, and I don't want to win by just a guess. The fact is, I do not know who. I think I can picture like the poster, you know, but I can't see any names on the poster.
Yeah, I can almost picture the poster too, but I have no.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I'll say Harry Connick Jr. just because that seems the least likely.
yeah, right. The rom-com guy.
And you would be correct.
Go figure.
I kind of thought that because if he's on the list, it's such an oddball. It's such an oddball actor to throw in there with all the other ones, you know. I don't need that point though, okay? Because I did not know.
Oh no, you're getting that point. You get it right. So, unfortunately, that's the rules here. So, all right, number 7. You will only relate to this if you've seen a film called The Cold. And I will give a little hint. It was also AKA The Game. I've seen that when I was looking this thing up. In this movie, mutated spiders the size of trucks terrorize a lone community. A group of citizens arm themselves to deal with this menace. Clips of this film are featured in the director's later effort, The Cold. What is the name of this movie? They, Monsters A Go-Go, Carnage, The Giant Spider Invasion.
The Giant Spider Invasion is the only one that I've actually heard. I know it's not Carnage. I don't think it's Carnage. That'd be the other one that I would think it was. I'm just going to go with the Giant Spider Invasion. Well, before you say yes or no, is it? That's not the original title. Just like a title that, or is this the original title?
So this is the original title, but it was apparently featured in this other movie. Like he's shamelessly plugged this film.
That's what you're saying. Okay.
In the movie, The Cold, aka The Game.
What year was it?
It was
like when you're watching Pulp Fiction in Hostel type of thing.
Yeah. What year was it?
It does not give me but I want to say when I looked it up, I think it was 75. Maybe it was this Giant Spider Invasion.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. I'm pretty sure that's it. The Giant Spider Invasion. I know it's
the
not
director was Bill Rebane.
Yeah, not familiar. But I'll go with that.
All right, that is correct.
I would have confidently said They, and I'm not sure why, but They sounded right.
Well, They is a movie about giant. It's a giant ant movie, but it's in the 50s.
All right, that's why I'm like I would have confidently said They
56,
in that one.
57. So I knew, it wasn't that one.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think if there was a movie called Carnage, I would know it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Chad. Number 8. You're playing from behind now.
Yep.
And with that steal, you're playing from behind from 2 points. So, I mean, that was a big swing there. Even though John tried to give that point away, but,
Still not happy about that. Okay.
Which film features characters Mickey and Mallory Knox?
Oh. I know what it is. It's Juliette Lewis. Yeah, it's Juliette Lewis and the guy that I just mentioned in the last one.
Your boy.
Yes,
Woody
exactly.
Harrelson, right?
I literally just mentioned him, said I fangirl over him, and now I can't think of his name. And Natural Born Killers is what it is. Robert Downey Jr. is also in that movie.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Correct.
Huh?
That's a great movie.
It is.
That is a great movie.
Who did you say? You said somebody else in there?
Tommy Lee Jones.
Who was it?
Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh, I don't even remember him in there. Who is
He's the warden. He's the warden. Don't you remember?
Oh yeah. And then her dad was the guy that has a really abrasive type. He was in Caddyshack. I can't think of his name either. I'm sure you remember.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about Rodney Dangerfield?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
That's a weird role for Rodney Dangerfield.
It was
awesome, though. It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. What a great movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a really good movie.
All right. Number 8, John.
Mm-hmm.
There were many Italian copycats of The Exorcist from 1973. One of the films is accused of depicting events from The Exorcist in every scene. The plot line is identical as well, involving a woman who gets possessed by the devil the same way. What is the correct title? Beyond the Door, Kathy's Curse, The Child, Exorcism.
Beyond the Door.
That is correct.
He's a machine.
I mean, they're right about the copycat thing. I mean, a lot of people were copying that thing, and the Italians were kind of known for that, right? Ripping off Hollywood movies.
Oh yeah,
you were. So
that was a big thing. Even the westerns, like the spaghetti westerns and stuff like that. Yes.
Yeah. Italian cinema, even though it's good, it's good.
Yeah.
But they were always aping off of stuff that was made in Hollywood, But that was the 70s, right? It was the 70s, that film, when they were still taking horror kind of serious. It's before camp really got going in the 80s, you know, because there was so much camp that came in. In the 70s, things were taken pretty seriously, like The Omen. You know, I mean, the horror was kind of like taken a little bit more seriously. You know, but yeah, it's for sure.
The Omen is one that I watched when I was a kid, and I started rewatching it recently, and that's still a pretty good film as well. I haven't finished it, but what I've seen is really good.
It's a good movie.
Have you seen the first Omen, the new one?
I haven't seen the new ones now.
Yeah, the new one they said is really good. It's gotten really good reviews, so that's why I'm rewatching the Omen to see, so that I can watch the new one.
See, these are the types of films that I can't watch. Like if I watch these, like I don't sleep for the next like.
That's right. Days, the possession ones are really, really bad on you because you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, my wife.
I don't know. It just I don't like dealing with that.
Mm-hmm. So. My wife won't watch those. Yeah, she won't watch those. You know what? I think that the Omen kind of leads to the Final Destination movies.
Oh,
because in the Omen, everybody was killed, but by something that happened, right? Like circumstances that were set up.
Yeah,
you know, just like Final Destination.
Yeah, it's like where
you know. So I always thought that was maybe an inspiration. As for
I could see that
kind of thing.
I love the Final Destination films. Like that was actually fun, right? Like I enjoyed that take on it. But those things were huge when we were.
It's a big franchise, real popular, because people responded to it because it already worked on fears you already had. You know,
it's like being behind a semi that's hauling, pipes or logs or whatever, right? And it's like, wow, this thing could like come untied and destroy me, right? And it's like they do that in that film.
Yeah, the same with roller coasters, the same with airplanes, the same with gas grills, or tanning beds, or LASIK eye surgery, or all these things. You know,
John just rattled off every version. Like I think you went kind of in order there, 1 through 4 of the series.
Hit them in order right there.
Yeah.
All right, John, we're at question number 9 for you.
Okay.
In the Wishmaster series,
I like the Wishmaster series. Okay, I'm just letting you know.
The Dingeon is a hellbound genie. If you make a wish backwards, you die. In Wishmaster 2, Evil Never Dies. He is revived once again and wreaks havoc at the Las Vegas casinos this time around. One unlucky prisoner makes a wish backwards. The Dingeon offers to him. How does he die in his cell?
Yeah.
He walks into the genie's...
Go ahead. I know what this is, but go ahead.
He walks into the genie's trap. He throws a cigarette on the floor, causing an explosion. He walks himself through the bars, or he shoots himself in the head.
Yeah, he walks himself through the bars. I like this movie. I think I like it because I have Reggie Bannister. I've worked with him several times from the Phantasm movies, and he's in the first Wishmaster, and I think that's why I like it. But the first one, the second one's okay. The first one's pretty good. I know the Wishmaster is kind of a minor franchise, you know. I mean, it is. It's a minor franchise, but it's got its fans. It's got its fans, including me.
So, what does making a wish backwards mean? Like, I wish to be out of this cell, so he just goes through the bars or something. Like, you didn't set enough details.
I don't know why it's stated like that. He always tries to trick people. What he really tries to do is get people to make a wish so he can manipulate it somehow.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Because that's always the fear of making wishes, right? Yep. If I don't word it correctly, well, I could end up with 3 heads or something. You know what I mean?
I want $1 million, and all of a sudden I got 1 million male deer running around my property.
Right. Yeah. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, I think they're pretty clever. Robert Kurtzman made the first one, and that he's a legend as far as makeup effects goes. You know, this guy, he's done. I mean, just you can't even name him off. I mean, this dude's done a ton of effects work on all these great movies. Another thing on the Wishmaster, what I was saying was that the suit that they built for that character, the Wishmaster suit, is very similar to the suit they built for Jeepers Creepers for that creature. So I wonder if they referenced it to kind of build that suit. And I kind of have an appreciation for these full body suits that they build for these characters. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I couldn't
That's
imagine.
a lot of work. One of my favorites is Tim Curry in Legend when he played the devil. I don't know if you're familiar with this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Man, that is an awesome suit that they built for him. Or like Hellboy. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You know? That's a lot of artistry goes into that.
What's wild about some of that is when you start, I think it was it Jim Carrey talking about the Grinch, maybe?
Yeah.
But like the emotional, like damage that it does to the actor, like trying to put them in that for that many hours. I think, who was it? Michael, is it Mike? Who's the Michael guy that played the Thing? In the original,
Michael Chikris.
Michael
Fantastic
Chikris.
Four.
And he talked about the same thing, right? Like it was like mentally exhausting that he had to be like in this suit for 14 hours a day or whatever it was. You know, I mean,
can't be comfortable. I remember the Jim Carrey thing about he didn't think he was going to be able to complete the film because of the contact lenses they had to put in. He had such a hard time with the contact lenses. I guess they were very painful, you know, because they were the full sclera contacts that cover the entire eye, and I don't know if I'd want to put those in.
Was he the one, John, that he said that he did sessions with a Navy SEAL on how to deal with torture?
Oh yeah, I think you're right. I think I did read something like that.
Yeah, because he couldn't breathe either. Yeah, I think he couldn't breathe out of his nose too. So that was.
Yeah. I just remember like they literally trained him how to like deal with torture to get through that whole movie, which is just wild to me.
Yeah. It's a kind of a classic movie now, though, so I'm sure he's glad he did it. Unlike
even
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say unlike Cat in the Hat, which is one of my least favorite movies that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
All my lifetimes. No,
even looking at George Clooney talking about, I remember hearing an interview with him on some talk show, and he said that honestly, he's like, if anybody were to wear this bat suit, they get their butt kicked by a 6-year-old because he's like, I can't move, I'm just sweating in it the whole time. I think you were with me at the Comic-Con where there was a guy in a bat suit that looked pretty realistic, and he was in the bathroom just like wiping sweat off his face.
Yeah, you're in a rubber suit.
Yeah.
What are you just rocking in all that sweat? You know? Miserable.
All right, Chad. We got question number 9. I think I
Yes.
skipped you on 9. I think I went back to back with John here. So
okay.
Number 9 for you. In 1990, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer was released based on Henry Lee Lucas. What movie released in 1992 was also about Lucas, but was much more graphic and disturbing? Confessions of a Serial Killer, Deranged, Diary of a Madman, or Body Parts?
Oh, so Body Parts. I don't believe it's Body Parts, and I feel like I should. I haven't seen any of these, so that's what's going to be my first. Body Parts is something that I should have seen. I want to lean towards the first one, which was not Confessions of a Serial. What was it? What were the options again?
Confessions of a Serial Killer, Deranged, Diary of a Madman, and Body Parts.
Yeah, Confessions of a Serial Killer. Final answer.
That is correct.
Okay. John, do you know anything about Body Parts or this
that's
film?
Where I was headed. Yeah, Body Parts is a pretty cool movie. Jeff Fahey stars in it.
Okay.
And it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay. So I feel like that's been on my list for a while, but I've never really made it an effort.
It's pretty cool. Brad Dourif's in it, I love Brad Dourif. He's a great actor. I love that guy. You know, so yeah, it's a good movie.
All right, okay. Chad, we're gonna go back to back. I'm gonna leave the last question for John.
Let's do it.
You actually get a little bit of a hint in this one, so it's not it's not necessarily fair, but you do get a little bit of a hint.
I don't know if I need the hint though. That's what I'm saying.
I have to give you the hint.
Okay.
Just because, yeah. Which sequel is fake? Leprechaun 4 in Space, When a Stranger Calls Back, Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2, or My Bloody Valentine 2, Soul Miner's Daughter.
Okay, so I believe that Leprechaun 4 is real. We know that the third one is Mary Lou one is true. So it's down to B and D, and B is the one that I don't remember what was it? When a Stranger Calls Back.
When a Stranger Calls Back.
Okay, and then the last one is
My Bloody Valentine 2, Soul Miner's Daughter.
Didn't you and I watch My Bloody Valentine at my house on like Valentine's Day or something like that? I think that was a 3D one.
I think you're right. Yeah, wasn't it out in like an old like?
I don't remember.
Outside area. I
just think that film was poor enough that they probably had a sequel to it, and it was in a Soul Miner's Daughter. Just seems super cheesy, but it would be right on like. And this is important, so I've got to think about this for a second, John. And I apologize, but like this is important because yeah, when a Soul Miner's Daughter is like the dumbest title I've ever. When a Soul Miner Daughter. What is it again?
My Bloody Valentine 2, Soul Miner's Daughter.
Yeah, that is the dumbest title ever, but I feel like it fits it. So, like, I feel like that could be it. And When a Stranger Calls Back is actually a really good title, but did that get a sequel? I'm going to go with B. I'm going to go with B as the fake one.
Final answer?
Yes.
It is incorrect. So it goes to John. You have a Leprechaun 4 in Space.
I don't need that. All right. So if there was a movie called Soul Miner's Daughter, I think I would know it. All right. I think I would know it. And I do not know what that is. Although I do agree that's a great title, but I think that's what it is.
That is correct.
Dude.
It's so dumb that I just thought that maybe it's like.
Yeah, it was the 80s.
Yeah.
It could have been.
Okay. All
right. Well,
I can't win this one now.
Yeah, you can't win, but you can have a redeeming fact here. So,
okay, all right.
If John gets number 10 wrong, you have a chance to steal. So,
okay,
you have that at least, and that could at least be a little bit of a breath of fresh air here. So
you stacked the deck against John here with these obscure films. Gave me home field advantage, and he still whooped me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go back to I have not heard of a single film on John's list. So we're just going to throw that out there.
Yeah.
But number 10, the gimmick horror vision is used in this 1980s gore fest. This involves the screen swirling around. Next, a glove appears on the screen, moving its fist around. This enables squeamish viewers the chance to bypass an upcoming scene. What film uses this gimmick? Neon Maniacs, Dream a Little Evil, Nightmare, or Boarding House?
Well, those are all great titles. What was the second one?
Dream a Little Evil.
I like that one. That's cool. I know this one. This is the Boarding House, or just Boarding House, and the gimmick thing is why I know it, right? Because it was made in that era where people were trying to do gimmicks, right? It was like am I right? For one thing, am I right?
You are correct. Yes.
All right.
So John, first off, okay, go ahead, John. Go ahead.
Every 25, 30 years, something like that, the gimmick stuff comes back, right? It's like in the 50s when they were doing like Smell-O-Rama, or you know what I mean? Where you would scratch the appropriate smell or something. or the Tingler where the seats were electrified, and they got sued because someone died. I don't know, something like that. And then 3D was a gimmick back before that, and stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, the gimmick thing, it's not that this is a great movie, because it's not. And I would stop short of saying it's a gore fest, but the whole thing about the glove and all that stuff, that's just a marketing thing, like all these things are, and I teach a lot of this stuff in class. It's one thing I cover is the marketing angle of these things, it's not a good movie. but
So, could you actually skip past it by using the glove? You can't really do that, can you?
No, it means you should turn away if you don't want to see.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
It's it's a cheap looking movie, it's something that you
so a
could
couple
shoot
things
next
on that.
weekend
You mentioned 3D.
Sorry?
Sorry, you cut out, so I jumped over you, I think. But no, a couple things from that. You talk about the 3D movies and the gimmick of that one. I feel like that has went through waves, right? There was Nerds 3D, there was Jason or Friday the 13th 3D, and then there was a time in like the mid 2010s or something like that where they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna get 3D TVs, and everybody's like, you go to the theater and it's like, do you want the 3D version or whatever? They're kind of cutting back on that, but that was a really annoying time too, because it's like, this is a fad. Let's get past
it. It
this.
is a fad. No one really likes it. I mean, well, I'm not going to say no one likes it. Some people really like it for certain films.
Yes, exactly.
I'm not a big fan of it. Maybe like for Avatar or something like that, where it's designed to be that way. That's kind of cool.
My only issue with 3D that I've ran into is if you're watching the movie in non 3D, every time you can be like, that's a scene that they specifically did for 3D. Like you can always pick out, and it's the something flying at the screen, and it becomes almost a distraction if you're not watching it in 3D. Like this scene doesn't make any sense.
It looks goofy without it. Friday the 13th 3D is particularly full of that kind of thing, right?
Yes.
So yeah.
John,
I get it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember when I was a kid, there was I mentioned Nerds 3D.
Yeah.
And I thought that they had, they did a TV version of this. Like, they played it on TV. And it was something where, you had, if you, it was a big deal, because playing a movie like that on national TV was a big deal. But, you had to go to, a gas station and get your 3D glasses ahead of it. Do you remember this marketing campaign or what? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't really know a ton about it, but I just remember that.
This has been a long time ago. I think that's back when they were doing the red blue 3D.
Yep, that's exactly what it was.
For a lot of black and white movies were kind of transferred to that, which was not great 3D. Let's be honest. James Cameron revived it. He created a new type of 3D, for Avatar, the first one, and that's kind of where we're at with that. But they don't make enough money to warrant releasing everything on 3D, so
Chad, you talked about getting your glasses. I almost guarantee at that point in time, it wasn't a gas station. You had to either buy a magazine or get it out of your Sunday paper. It's gotta be stuck in some sort of physical media at that point, right?
The reason I say that is because I feel like I went to Merco in Aledo to get those glasses. If my mom's probably going to watch this
in a magazine.
Yeah, I thought they were. Maybe. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I just want to show this off here, though. This is. I got to get it in frame here, but that says John 2, Chad 0.
John didn't miss a question tonight. He didn't miss a question. He didn't even miss my questions that I missed. It's wild. And I just got to take my hat off, John. Props. My goodness. My goodness. This is fun, though. I can't wait to do it again. And get embarrassed by John again.
The multiple choice thing helps because
it does.
Because some are obviously not it. You can narrow things down pretty easily. Except Harry Connick Jr. which I understand why that one was hard. I'm like, well, who? I don't know. So.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. But no, it's been a good conversation with you, John.
Mm-hmm.
Is there what other type of movies? We talked a little bit about your zombies or Clinton zombies, vampires, found footage.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that really trips your trigger or anything like that you look for?
Well, I gotta say, I really do like the giant monster movies. Particularly the new legendary Godzilla stuff. I was never like the hugest Godzilla fan until Legendary Pictures revived this run of them. And they're just so well done. I don't know. Some people might not like them, but I like them a lot.
When you say that though, like you're talking about the ones that are just coming out, like the
King of the Monsters,
Godzilla,
Kong, all those. I do like because Godzilla was always a cautionary tale about nuclear war, nuclear power.
Yeah, correct.
But not this time. This time they've developed this really kind of complicated history of the Titans. Which is just kind of cool. Just kind of cool. Plus, it's mindless. I think that's why I like it so much. Like Cloverfield or in any of the giant monster movies, I'm on board with pretty much.
I tell you what, I think we talked about this maybe once before on this, but Godzilla -1 was incredible.
Yeah.
Now they threw that back to like the old atom bomb, making him transform, right? And which is I thought it was absolutely incredible. So,
John, you were on the like but didn't love move on that one, right? Am I right?
No, I didn't. I prefer Godzilla being more of a hero character and not the villain. But that's just me. I know -1 was great, but I can't keep watching it over and over like I can watch the other movies over and over.
Yeah.
But you got to take your hat off to what that guy was able to do. He did most of the effects work himself. He wrote a really engaging script. I mean, he's got a career ahead of him, that guy.
Yeah.
So, we watched it in black and white, and it was phenomenal.
Oh, I bet that was good.
What was your favorite version of Godzilla? Like, I know these new ones, but like, is there a Godzilla movie from when you were younger that you really stuck out or anything like that?
Well, the cool things about the Godzilla movies back in the day was who is he fighting?
Correct.
Right?
That's what I mean.
The smog monster or who, whatever, a giant pile of pollution. He was always fighting something that represented something, bad in society. So, I was always a Rodan fan, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't know why. Maybe it's because I had the Rodan. I had the giant Rodan, plastic Rodan. I got it for Christmas one year, and so maybe that's why I like it so much. But I've always been a Rodan fan.
I am a sucker for the. I think the one that I watched the most as a kid was Godzilla, and I don't remember even who he was fighting, but it was Jet Jaguar was his, where he comes on in and saves him, and for some reason it was so cool that you had this robot. I don't know if you call him a kaiju or whatever, and then Godzilla comes in and saves. I watched it recently, and it's really, 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 really cheesy, but also like it brought me back to that time in my life, and it made me feel good.
Yeah, the Godzilla movies went cheesy really fast.
They really did.
They really did, because the first one wasn't meant to be that way, right? It's meant to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
But after that, man, it was all hands on deck for let's haul in the cheese. Yeah. But they're fun though. They're fun.
Yep.
Well, John, I just want to say thank you again for jumping on the podcast here and joining us on this once again, John versus Chad trivia showdown. It was a mighty battle.
It was fun. Can I tell you one more thing about Godzilla before we wrap this up?
Oh yeah, tell me one more thing about Godzilla.
I've got a nephew. His name's Cooper. Great kid. I think he's like, I don't know, probably 20s now. He's autistic, and he loves Godzilla. That's his favorite thing. Seen all the Godzilla movies several times. And did you know that because of watching the Godzilla movies, he now is almost fluent in Japanese?
You're kidding me.
Speak it. Mm-mm.
Wow.
Yeah, he can speak in Japanese. He can actually have a conversation because
that is wild.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah. It's the human mind is wild in general, just like the way it's wired and the things that the fact that that capability is even possible is amazing. Like
I always say, like, if you listen to a language long enough, right, like you will start like picking up on what they're saying, you know.
Sure.
Which I don't know if my brain works like that. I don't think I can.
Mine doesn't. I know. Mine doesn't.
The 13th Warrior.
Yeah, when he's sitting around the campfire or whatever.
Yeah.
All night.
That's another. Yeah, that's another not great movie, but I loved it.
It's good. Yeah, I like it too. Yeah, that's a good one. Man, I had a blast, guys. I love talking horror movies.
Yeah, you know? Me too. So here's the thing that we need to do. Okay, we need to have John back in here in February. Okay, all right. I'm picturing this in February. John comes back in here. We do another trivia, but it's straight rom-coms or something that I feel that I might have an edge on John on there.
Yeah.
But just something that maybe I could beat John at, but like this is clearly not the category.
Well, I'm old, you know. That's all. You know.
Yeah, that's
I do. I try to keep up on things. If you ask me about like horror movies of like the last 10 years, I probably wouldn't do that well. You know,
so I need not to go obscure movies next time. I need to go to like recent horror movies.
Yeah, go to recent horror movies. I just don't have time to watch movies anymore, almost at all. So, yeah, I would be lost.
John, I think I've told you this already, but Talk to Me is my favorite horror movie that I've seen recently.
That's the name of it. That's the name of it.
Yeah,
I was trying to tell my class. Yep. I said, what is the name of that movie that is supposed to be so good?
Yeah,
that's the name of it. Talk to Me.
Yep.
Okay.
Talk to Me.
Okay. I'll check it out.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, again, thank you, but let's wrap up. So the credits are rolling.
The lights are coming on.
And that's the end of the show. So, Chad, I have a story to tell you.
Okay, I got you.
It's
about tonight's trivia.
Okay.
But John and I pulled the wool over your eyes.
Oh,
John
my
was
God.
To every single question and answer long before this show started to hit record.
Oh, no! You gave him the answers? Oh, my God.
When I talked to so I got to set this up, John. I called him after I sent you this message. I proposed this thought process to John. I'm like, hey, I think it'd be funny to pull a really funny prank on Chad. And I'm going to ask the most hardest obscure answer questions. And then, John, I called Chad and I told him that I stacked the deck against you and there's no way you're going to get any of these questions.
He told me that he was going to give you, here's what he said. He said he's going to give you obscure movies. And I said, John's probably going to know him anyway. like he's probably going to know him anyway. He didn't tell me what I was going to get, but my God. I've been had.
Obscure. They were pretty obscure.
Yeah. I wondered. I'm like,
no,
like my eyes were rolling back in my head. I'm like, how did you know this?
Right. I
perfect.
told Clint,
you were perfect on it.
There were 3 I did not know on the list that he sent. There's 3 that I didn't know. Now I might have been able to guess because of the titles, because some of them obviously aren't it, but
yep, exactly.
I do feel bad, but not really.
I do feel bad, but not really.
This reaction right here, John, is exactly what I was shooting for. So this is absolutely wonderful. Is watching Chad melt in despair right now. And
I love it. I was so impressed because it's like, yeah. I mean, like I thought, like, yeah. This is wild. This is wild. Been had.
Yeah.
Well, John, we pulled it off.
Yeah, there were some obscure ones on here, but I did know some of these. I didn't know Giant Spider Invasion. I didn't
when
know.
you came up with that one, it's like giant spider invasion. What the?
Yeah, I might have guessed it anyway, but yeah, I had never heard of that, and there's a few on here, but yeah,
well, like
it was fun.
I would have confidently stated they on that one. Like I was like, if I get the steal on this one, I am confident that it is they. But apparently that's an ant movie, and that's where I'm getting that from.
Yeah, that's an ant movie.
There was going to be no opportunity for steals.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm waiting the whole time. I'm like, just one slip up, and I've got a 33.3 repeated chance of getting a steal at least.
I actually thought, John, on that last question, I thought you were going to just throw one away just to throw the steal out there. I thought he was going to show a little mercy at one point in time, Chad.
No, the last one I knew, so I wasn't going to throw that one because that's the gimmick thing. Yeah.
This is wild, Clint. This is probably your best work ever. Like literally, because I felt a little bad that like, all right, we're gonna get John, or we're gonna give John really hard questions and me some regular ones. You know what you say, and so it's like, all right, I get that because John's whatever, and we'll play it off and whatever, and we'll have fun with it. But then
we did play it off and had fun with it.
But then it's like this is like an Inception moment. There was a dream within a dream. There was a joke within a joke, a trick within a trick. You got me.
I'm so happy it worked out. That was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, good for me. Good for me.